our anniversary eve, a beautiful Friday morning, 28th of March 2026. Another day to take a look at happenings in and around Nigeria. The president of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has been in the United Kingdom. He's been meeting critical stakeholders in that country, looking at bilateral agreements. Most recently, we understand that Nigeria and the United Kingdom have signed a rehabilitation deal, a port rehabilitation deal, to the tune of 746 million pounds. Quite a figure there. Looking forward to see how this actually benefits Nigeria and also solves the plethora of issues that we have in this country: unemployment, ease of trade, ease of doing business, being inclusive. Also, we understand that there are fears of petrol price hike even getting further, and this is because crude is hitting $114 to a barrel in the international market. I know you're going to be asking yourself, how is Nigeria, an oil producing country, having crude refined in Nigeria being determined by the international price of crude? Unfortunately, we all know that Nigeria doesn't have any refinery, and so there is Dangote that has to bridge the refining gap. And unfortunately, we also understand that there are gaps from Dangote's end. And the big question at this point is, are we nearing the era of importing refined petrol again? And also, we understand that there is a security deterioration. 3 bomb blasts within the week. We have the casualty figures increasing. Unfortunately, a new report is also suggesting there is 46% increase in insecurity in Nigeria, despite all of the moves that have been made, all of the promises made, all of the things said, all of the directives given by the President Bola Tinubu and his administration. All of this and very many more we get to look at on today's edition of the Polity. Good morning to you and welcome. I am Chisom Chinedu. Franklin Ibuka is here as well. Good morning, Frank.
Yes, good morning, Chisom. Good morning to everybody. And I have to say happy anniversary to our listener, because why it's our anniversary, it's also the anniversary. Because together we make ourselves complete. I talked about a couple of things happening in the country, but for me, I'll just reference one thing which is happening in a number of states. So yesterday we talked about the decision or the findings of the Commission of Inquiry, which was set up by the governor of Anambra State to look into the Orca Trachina's 2. We talked about the findings that they submitted to the governor, how the findings affirm that Bigib Simusu is the authentic traditional law of Orca. And guess what? Later yesterday, I saw a statement which was issued by Orca Council of Kingmakers, saying that they rejected that very panel inquiry report. That in fact they tried to pick some holes in the findings of that very panel. But guess what? At the end of that very statement, they said signed secretary. No name was added there. People are now asking questions. If you issue a press statement and it's signed by secretary and no name is indicated, that tells you that something is fishy. And guess what? That same yesterday, the governor of Anambra State welcomed a DIG who represented the IGP, because he paid a courtesy visit to the Anambra State governor to congratulate him on his second term in office. And during that very interaction, the governor told the police that they should get ready for the enforcement of the findings of the panel of inquiry in respect to Orcas 2. So in the coming days, it's going to be interesting. We're going to see what's going to happen. Then finally, I can see so many positioning for the Anambra North senatorial position. Lots of names are coming up within the ABGA structure, within the ADC, and within other parties. Of course, we know that the incumbent is Senator Tony Moye, but we have seen the likes of Dr. Alex Obiobolu, pushing so hard for that. So in the coming days, of course, we're going to hear more, because we know that the window for primary election is around the corner. So I rest my case now.
Okay, your case is going to be rested for quite some time, right? Because the matter is still long, and we're getting onto that. Dr. Tony Olisambeki is here to do justice to all of the matters on our desk. In-house analyst. Good morning, Tony.
Good morning to you, Chisom Chinedu. Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, good people of Southeast. Good morning, in the Anambra. Good morning, in the Onitsha. Do. Good morning, in the Osumuhu. Good morning, in the Afia and in Aze for banana as well, the different markets in Anambra State, in Enugu State, in Ebonyi State, in Abia State, in Imo State, in Delta State, in Edo State, in Kogi State, states around us here, even in River State. We have many markets, and we particularly most times project our voice to the point that they will feel what we are doing here. They are welcome. The Nkuzi, the civil servants, those who are doing the good work of the Lord. The service providers, not network service providers, because they are not doing good. I'm talking about the essential service providers and others who are doing the great works, different professions. We are welcome. We are going to do edition before the anniversary dates. Tomorrow we mark it exactly 1 year. This good work started. This journey began. This evangelism. Because what we do here is more or less evangelism. I've said it many times here. This is our altar. Our altar is not just prophetic. A healing altar. There are those who listen to us by virtue of the fact they listen to us. They have less BP and so many things, blood pressure, low one. I mean, not low blood pressure, but at least moderate pressure, blood pressure. Because we know very well that low pressure, blood pressure is a problem. High blood pressure is also a problem. We're talking about moderate. There are those who listen to us and they will be happy. There's nothing therapeutic when it comes to getting to be happy by virtue of the fact you listen to this, you lock your eye here. That's why I'm saying that our altar is also a healing one and also prophetic, because we see things before they happen, we project them, and we do quite a lot here. We profess the truth. You're welcome. We thank God Almighty for His grace, for His mercy, for His love, for His kindness, and everything He has been doing in our lives. It's not easy for us, all of us. The way we started this evangelism by this time last year, we are also all intact. It's a great thing to thank God. It's miraculous. You're welcome. You're welcome.
You know, speaking about that now, Tony, to think that, how is it said now? 1 year don't waka, we still they carry go, nobody waka, nobody go solo.
You are worldly, I'm spiritual. A carnal mind does
I am a child of the world. I am a child of the world. A carnal
mind does not understand the things of the spirit.
So why did I feel that what Tony said was an antithesis? He said Chisom is the carnal person. You are
the one bringing.
No, truly, I am of the world.
She's not hiding.
The one why see na
some of us, most times you may think that we are this, we are that. By the time we talk to the curator, we speak to him.
Hallelujah. Spiritual pastor.
We are spiritual. We are spiritual
pastor.
You find a member, but FM, what we do here are things of the spirit.
Absolutely. We have the Nigerian Tribune on our desk, Vanguard, The Punch, and The Guardian newspapers. And starting with the Nigerian Tribune, the banner headline here is Reps warn of Armenian petrol scarcity and the price hike over Dangote supply gaps. Find that story on pages 3 and 6. It has two riders. Seek urgent intervention of Presidential Technical Committee on Crude for Fuel Initiative. Costs of goods set to rise as manufacturers face higher energy input costs. And another headline here that is quite bold, found on page 11. Tinubu stammer hold talks as Nigeria, UK seal for £746 million port deals. And the riders here, both countries sign agreement to boost border security, migration, visas, agree on deal targeting failed asylum seekers, criminals. We must strengthen mutually beneficial economic cooperation. President Tinubu is the one speaking here. Tinubu, governors, others felicitate Muslim at Eid al-Fitr. This is on page 2, and a happy Eid al-Fitr to our Muslim brothers. Nigeria's fourth global terror ranking confirms Tinubu's failure. ADC and Obi are speaking on page 2. Dangote NLNG, others account for 85% of LPG supply in February 2026 on page 6. Barge operators lament over lack of berthing space at Apapa port on page 5. Nigeria eyes 30 trillion naira windfall as oil prices surge over $115 per barrel. on page 5. What is going to be done with all of these monies? We expect more development. If we can pump all of this into the power sector, maybe we just have one area of our issues sorted. But will we? On the health column here, number of children you have may influence lifespan. That's a study on page 16. I took a deeper look into this study, and I was really shocked to realize that women who don't have any children age faster, according to this report, than women who have at least 2 or at most 3 children. So according to this report, if a woman has 2 to 3 children, her aging, biologically, she ages slower than a woman who has none, or a woman who has 4, 5, 6 and above number of kids. Quite an interesting development there, but like that report says, this is not a one size fits all, but that's according to a study. Frank, we go over to the next paper.
Okay, so let's look at the headlines we have on Vanguard newspaper. The big story there says Middle East war, fresh fears of higher petrol price as crude oil hits $114 per barrel. That story is on page 5 of Vanguard newspaper. And it has some riders. Iran threatens to destroy region's energy facilities if further attacked. U.S. may unsanction Iran oil already being shipped. Most deploying thousands of troops to Tehran in next phase of war. 12 Arab Islamic states call on Iran to stop strikes. Saudi Arabia threatens military action. EU leaders urge U.S.-Iran ceasefire talks amid escalation. And the picture story there is about Mr. President's visit to the UK. I can see the face of the governor of Lagos State, Sanwo-Olu, whom has been questioned on why he left Lagos State to go to UK to welcome Mr. President in what capacity. Because he posted that today, I was glad to welcome Mr. President to UK. And people are asking him, on what capacity that you left Nigeria to go and welcome somebody you were with here in Nigeria. And then you see another headline that says Eid al-Fitr, Tinubu at Babio. Governors, others felicitate Muslims on page 7, and we are saying happy Eid al-Fitr to our Muslim brothers, and of course today is a public holiday for them to have this celebration. Transport moguls shift focus on vehicle assembling. The story is on page 14. Other headline says Lagos security agencies partner to curb road carnage, substance abuse on page 10. And this one says Middle East, Nigeria records highest fuel price hike globally report. The story is on page 20. If you see that very report, you see that Nigeria has the highest, 39.5%. Then it's followed by Laos, 32 point something percent. And then before I talk about Vietnam and co, I think the US has about 23% increase in the price of petrol. Then insecurity, local cooperation critical to ending insurgency, CDS. That's on page 9. Tinubu's Tama signed £747 million deal to refurbish 2 major Nigerian ports. On page 8, it has a rider. I found safety in UK during military era. Tinubu. APC government has failed Nigerian. APC government has failed. Nigeria now 4th global terror epicenter. ADC on page 8 of Vanguard newspaper. And these are the headlines.
Right, let's go over to the Punch newspaper. Eid al-Fitr, Speaker, Governors preach unity. Please strengthen surveillance on page 24. Arms shortage undermines anti-terror war in Nigeria, Africa. That's according to a Stockholm report on page 27. 2027, secession firestorm in 10 states as governors exit news on page 2. That's the banner headline on the Punch, by the way. And the writer says incumbents, party infighting, religion, zoning war, drive high stakes political contests. INEC deadline nears for party primaries. Delta teenager visiting friend shot dead in Lagos on page 4 and 5. Nigeria spends 9 trillion naira importing petrol on page 20. Starmer pushes strategic UK-Nigeria alliance with 1.4 trillion naira fresh deal on page 2.
Okay, so over to Guardian newspaper. The big story says a global terrorism index. Opposition CSOs flare FG over worst rating. 46% surge in killings on page 6 of Guardian newspaper. terrorism, CDS did not accuse Borno Yobe residents of complicity on page 29 of Guardian. Nigeria, UK seal deal on migration, border security, improved trade on page 8. PDP reconciliation shaky despite renewed talks as divisions persist on page 3. Eid al-Fitr, Senate leaders preach peace, unity, compassion amid global tensions on page 2. House warns of imminent fuel price hike, scarcity on page 3. And we'll now go over to page 20 where we have the story that says, at Salah, Yewalda, Sule, preach unity, sacrifice, compassion. NRC rolls out special Salah train services nationwide on page 30 of the Guardian. And the last story we have on the front page says, ADC faults ATSU CSOs over silence on certificate forgery law on page 5 of Guardian newspaper.
And of course, we're moving on from detailing what the front pages say. You can go pick up those papers and get further detail on those stories. We're moving on now to take a look at some major developments and make sense of them. And we're starting with one of the biggest developments in Nigeria at the moment. I would say are in and around Nigeria because President Bola Tinubu has gone to the United Kingdom. This, according to reports, is the first visit in about 37 years. That's almost 4 decades. And this is the first time we're having a state visit to the United Kingdom. I'd like to say the president has been going there, but this is the first time there is an official visit. And so we understand that part of the things agreed on is a port rehabilitation deal. We understand that Nigerian ports such as Apapa, Tinkan are major bottlenecks in West African trade. So rehabilitation is expected to help unlock billions in economic efficiency. Also, a UK-backed deal has raised questions about whether this reinforces historical trade asymmetry or genuinely builds Nigeria's capacity, especially in knowing Nigeria's history with, so let's say, slavery. Nigeria was colonized by Britain, and in the days of colonialization, we had a lot of, well, I say sad stories. Sad. I mean, slave trade is something really sad. And some persons are asking, are we going back to the colonial trade dynamics, or are we actually building capacity, actually independence for Nigeria economically through this deal? For 746 million pounds is not a small figure. Also, some persons are asking the questions about the structure of this particular deal. Is it going to be like a concession of financing, a public-private partnership, a debt, a loan? What exactly is this money? So we actually know what we're dealing with. All right. So we don't wake up tomorrow and we're told Nigeria is owing this, it is birthing interest and all of that. So Tony, let's start with some of these.
Well, we saw the signing yesterday, just like we mentioned earlier on, and also would also let people to understand the basics, everything about is what was signed, why these signings were made, and the extent they can go, the impact of these signings to average Nigerian, because we're concerned about an average Nigerian. What does this visit by Nigerian president to UK, what does it pertain to Nigeria, what does it pertain to our economy, what does it pertain to the citizenry, what does it pertain to everyone? That's basically everything. And let me say this, every country is selfish in this life, because countries will tell you what they want, how they want to go about it, their interests. And United States of America can be ranked number 1 when it comes to this selfishness. They will tell you America first philosophy. It's all about America, their interest at all time. If they want to go beyond, if they want to occupy any space, it becomes manifest destiny, as was proposed by President James many years ago, I think in the year 1846. They have got so much to put forward. What do you think we can really for sure say these are our interests in this country? And most interests are not judged moralistically, not on moral ground. Oh, it is good, it is not good. Countries decide what they want, and what they want is all about how it will benefit their citizens, of what benefit. And they are not looking at it from the angle of, if we want this, what if it discomforts the other nation? They don't care if it brings discomfort to you. I'm just trying to give this background before we delve into the real issue. Yes, Mr. President signed 3 memoranda of understanding. I think it was signed by the Nigerian Interior Minister Tunji Olubimi, Migration Partnership Corporation on Organized Immigration Crime and Border Security, and also statement of intent on expanding business visas for UK companies operating in Nigeria. If you look at these very MOUs, Tunji Olubimi signed, it's for the interest of UK. For me, I have to be very honest, I have to be very modest here, because UK government, many governments in UK, or successive governments, they are so much concerned about migration. They are concerned about all these visa fraud, this. That's why the Conservatives, the Labour Party, most times if they're going for election, these are one of the key things they use for campaigns. And for them to bring it up at this visit, issue of migration partnership, they are talking about transparent, safe, orderly, and mutually beneficial migration framework. There's never a migration framework that be mutually beneficial, when we are to sit side by side with the UK. They are always looking for what is beneficial to them. They want your qualified nurses, they want your qualified doctors, they want those who can come into UK and expand their businesses and build their businesses, but they don't want job seekers. They don't want those that will come and seek refuge or asylum. They don't want those ones. If that's what the impact of this agreement signed. If you look at the other part of the agreement, the issue of cooperation on organized immigration crime and border security. How many times have you heard about immigration crime and border security involving UK nationals in Nigeria? How many times? We've not heard something like that. Even if there is, it is very minimal. But we have always and consistently hear about immigration crime and border related security by Nigerians living in UK. So you will see why they bring this one close. They also talked about the issue of expanding business visa for UK companies operating in Nigeria. They want such expansion. They want some kind of leverages. That's basically their interest. And for Nigeria, you talk about the one we signed, that of Tinkan, the MOU on ports. But I'm concerned. We must be futuristic. We must be visionary. We must look at Nigeria from different prisms. When I talk about prisms, of course, for those who studied physics, you know what prisms are. These prisms are being used when it comes to reflection of light, rarefaction, and other deflection as well, and the movement of light. So when I say prism, don't think of the prism where people stay in custody. No, I mean prisms. For those who study physics, they understand what I'm saying. You must see Nigeria from different prisms. You must. We have functional ports in Lagos. You have a Apapa port. You have the Tinkan Island. There are so many coastal states we have in this country. Why are we not making use of the advantages they pose being a coastal state? Cross River is a coastal state. Akwa Ibom is a coastal state. Delta is a coastal state, for sure. And you also look at Bayelsa. Bayelsa is also a coastal state. What I mean, these states lie along Atlantic Ocean. You can even extend it further. Why is it always Lagos? Why must we have the ports we are talking about? River State is also a coastal state. Because
more like a decentralization.
That's what I'm talking about. Nigeria as a country should not think of having just, we know we have port in, I think, dysfunctional port in Warri. We also have another dysfunctional port in One. The One is in River State. We also have another port. I don't know if we have a functional port in Akwa Ibom, but we have well-functional ports in Lagos. But are we not looking at how we can expand these frontiers to expand business accessibility, business movement of goods? Are we not looking at that? Look at the century. We are not making use of these states that are along Atlantic Ocean. We are not. We are not even improving. And we are so much concerned about going back to Lagos. It is very important, I thought, that Nigerian government should commence activities, measures to build more ports. You can't be talking about businesses trying to do this because we are talking about agriculture. By the time, if Nigerian government decides to invest massively in agriculture, we say bye-bye to poverty. Every Nigerian, or an average Nigerian, let's put it this way, an average Nigerian will be rich. If the government decides to go into agriculture in a manner that they will feed Africa, they will make exports, they will build more export processing zones, these things are doable. You know why sometimes politicians don't look at things like this? They will say, oh, it is in this man's state, it is in that person's state, so if you do it there, these people will now tell us they have arrived. You will not tap from their advantages in question. But if you look at UK, for instance, it's one of the things they have adopted. They adopted very, very horizontal and vertical development across different lines. Every state that has any potential for anything, it will be given attention, massive attention. Development of that very thing will go in there. But Nigeria, we are looking at it from where is that located? Oh, we're not going to do it here. So my concern, why I'm saying all this is because of the importance attached in expanding Tinkan and Apapa ports. For me, we should have done something much more better. We should have done something much more better. So it is important that Nigerian government looks beyond this. We are talking about the ones in Southeast here, the dry ports. The one we are talking about, the Oguta Lake, being some nautical miles away to Atlantic Ocean, where we know we can also build or dredge it so that barges will be coming from that area. The visit by Mr. President, I've seen the MOU signed. Majority of the MOU signs we have to the advantage of the UK, not for Nigeria.
Okay, so let me add so that we'll be able to elaborate, because look at this very latest deal agreement signed between UK and Nigeria. It's in three folds, and the very first one is about poor infrastructure financing, which is the upgrade of the port that Tony talked about. This whole thing is valued at £746 million. And what is the purpose? The purpose is to upgrade major Nigerian ports. And these major Nigerian ports, there are two. The Lagos Port Complex in Apapa and then the Tinkan Island Port. So these are the focus. Then you talk about the funding. The funding is backed by UK Export Finance and arranged with financial partners like Citibank, who are going to fund this. Now, then what is the benefit that is going to come to Nigeria? The benefit is this. We're going to see modernization of Nigerian key trade infrastructure. We're going to see a boost to maritime trade and efficiency. But the thing is this, the contract was awarded to UK companies. Or you can say the contracts were awarded to UK companies, for instance, steel supply. So what that simply means is that we are going to have like a capital flight in this very construction. Then we now go over to the issue of migration. That is where people are talking about, because that's the second fold of this very agreement, where they agreed on migration and deportation agreement. And the main component include this: one, to return all illegal migrants back to Nigeria. Now, and Nigeria agreed to accept nationals who have no legal right to stay in UK. There are many Nigerians who are in UK who no longer have a legal right to stay, either by the virtue of overstaying their visas or by the virtue of the fact that they applied for asylum and it failed. So all these people are going to be affected. Initially, it used to take a long paperwork for this to happen. But with this agreement, it's going to become very simpler for UK to have this done. That's what they call UK letter, that once it is issued, other than going through the papers, process visa and what have you not, for them to come back, you can just put them on flights and bring them back to Nigeria. So what this means for Nigeria is that those are brothers who are in UK legally. This time around, UK is going to ship them back to Nigeria. But what is not clear now is whether it's going to involve other nationals. You know that for a long time, UK has been pushing for this asylum deal. There was one they struck with Rwanda. At a point in time, it appeared that there was issue in that one, and Rwanda stopped it. So we're going to see how this is going to affect Nigeria. Then you now talk about that last one on the issue of security and the crime cooperation. Both countries signed agreements to jointly do the following. One is to fight human trafficking, to fight organized immigration crime, to fight against financial crimes and illicit money flows, to fight against fraud prevention, which is going to include joint law enforcement actions, and then counter-terrorism and the youth prevention programs. I want to pick out the issue of financial crimes and illicit money flow, because if we want to be sincere to ourselves, we know that many Nigerian politicians, they stash their money away in foreign bank accounts, and many of them are domiciled in UK. So if UK is going to be sincere with us in this very agreement, of course, might be able to, have some traces of this very money is being stashed away in foreign account. But when it now comes to the issue of counter-terrorism, we need to hear more about these agreements so that we get to understand how they are going to come in, because it seems like the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he's open to collaborating with foreign countries to ensure that they get to find terrorism.
Well,
then back to that issue of ports. Yes, it's good that we have to modernize our port, but I don't necessarily think that the challenge we have with our port is modernization. Yeah. I think issue of corruption that we do see at port. That's why I see some persons, other than bringing in their goods through Nigerian ports, they go to the Republic. They use Cotonou, because over there, the issue of taxes, freight rates, and corruption is less compared to what we have in Nigeria. So aside this agreement on modernization, what are we going to do to ensure that we get to tackle the corruption that we have in the port? So that's another question that we need to ask ourselves.
Well, I think we will also look at that, because most ports authorities, everything there is digitized in the sense that there is no human interface. In most places where you have this issue of corruption, Nigeria should do more. I saw what Festus Keyamo was doing in the area of aviation sector, but of course we saw the problem and challenges that we encountered, but he has also committed himself to ensuring that he surmount those challenges. But outside this, we are looking at broader picture. Nigeria and UK, both of them have signed MOUs in the past, and these MOUs are merely an academic exercise. Let's put it this way. I don't know if this one is going to be an academic exercise. When I say academic exercise, something just for formality, without any commitment built around it. Have you forgotten that it was in 2014 the Nigeria-UK prisoner transfer agreement was signed to allow convicted prisoners to serve sentences in their respective countries? But this agreement is just ceremonial, unimplemented, academic in nature. That's what that agreement is. We've seen situations where Nigerians convicted in UK cannot be repatriated in Nigeria to serve their sentences. But what was the essence of the agreement? Outside this agreement, I recall that there was also an agreement sometime around 2005, and it was agreement on UK Nigerian returns and deportation. That has largely not been followed. It has not been followed. It was academic. There was also a broader historical agreement under Obasanjo regime. There was multiple economic and bilateral agreements on trade, infrastructure, defense, security, and other corporations. These were signed, but they were stored at the financing or implementation stage due to bureaucratic hurdles and also lack of follow-through. I remember that Nigerians and also some officials from this country, we are so much saying that some of these things are under-delivered despite initial fanfare. There have been fanfare. So I am so much concerned about the past agreements. And if you are signing a new agreement, what happened to the past one signed? I recall also in this one, Mr. President visited UK. Agreements were signed in the area of trade, commerce, industry, investment, infrastructure. I don't know about infrastructure, but we've had that during the time of Obasanjo. These agreements were signed. These are MOU. Remember, these agreements are non-binding agreements. They are different from treaties. They are non-binding. What that means is it is not compulsory. It is at the discretion of parties involved to do or not to do. But if you judge by the pattern, these agreements have been largely ceremonial, largely academic in nature, without anything substantial coming out of it. I was actually talking about issue of ports, and I say that we need to do more on that. If you look at England, many people don't understand the difference between Britain and UK. There is difference between Britain and UK and England. When you talk about UK, you are talking about 4 nations. You talk about England, you talk about Northern Ireland, you talk about Wales, and you talk about Scotland. These 4 nations constitute United Kingdom. So when we talk about UK, we are looking at these 4 nations. But when we talk about Britain, one of them is not within that enclave. But you know that officially they are addressed as UK. Let's not go deep into that because I'm just trying to bring a point. The point I'm trying to bring, England, for instance, is an island nation surrounded by water. From every England is purely an island nation. But you can imagine how they have been leveraging on that strategic positioning to expand their trade, business, industry, commerce. Look at where they are. They manufacture a lot of things. They produce a lot of things. They export a lot of things. Yes. Leveraging on that. There is virtually nothing they are not into. Virtually nothing in the area of production and manufacturing with standards. Not what we do here. Of course, they have major ports. You're going to talk about Port of Southampton. You're going to talk about Port of London. You're going to talk about Port of Liverpool. You're going to talk about... There are so many ports.
All of them functional.
Functional, lying around. Why didn't they concentrate it? Maybe the ones in London, they say, we're going to... Even Portsmouth. The one day we... The ports everywhere. Working functional. Leveraging on the ground that they are an island nation. Nigeria is not an island nation, but we have states that borders Atlantic Ocean. And the only state that we always use or leverage on, Lagos. Ogun has also a border with Atlantic Ocean. What about those states that has there are those states that have vast territory bordering Atlantic Ocean? I mentioned them, Bayelsa, I mentioned Akwa Ibom, I mentioned Cross River. These things, nothing works in these areas. Even Imo State, that just like I said about Ogutalek, we must do away with this idea of
over concentration in Lagos.
Lagos thing. That's why we are not developing.
All right,
we must go beyond this.
Let's go on a commercial break. Let's not forget that Nigeria is having a 46% increase in insecurity, and that is quite alarming. And let's not also forget that we're still having the petrol issue, entirely blamed on the U.S.-Israeli bombardment of Iran. At the end of the day, how is Nigeria affected in this so much so that we're having over 60% increase in fuel price? Keep your fingers crossed. We'll be right back in the conversation. We'll continue in a bit.
Udala Radio 104.7 FM.
China money Onitsha ndị nwe ahịa, nke a bụ ụzọ anyị si asị unu daalụ maka ọmarịcha otu afọ nke nzikọrịta ozi. Udala Radio dị otu afọ n'ọnwa Maachị a. N'ọnwa Maachị a niile, Udala nwere onyinye pụrụ iche maka ịgba afọ ọhụrụ a. Ịzụta advert slot abụọ, inwe otu mgbakwunye onyinye n'efu. Ịnụrụ nke ọma, ohere nke mgbasa ozi ahịa, ozi ọbụla maọbụ nke program, ịkwụ ụgwọ, nweta ohere abụọ, anyị agbakwunyere gị otu. Nke a bụ ohere ị nwere ime ka ndị Ọnịcha n'obodo ndị ọzọ nụ ma mara maka ahịa gị. Gbata ọsọ ozugbo n'ihi ohere ọpụrụ iche a malitere ugbu a ma bụrụ nke ga-abịa n'isi njedebe n'ụbọchị nke 31 n'ọnwa Maachị nke afọ a, n'ọnwa mgbakwunye afọ Udala. Maka ndebanya na ajụjụ, kpọọ anyị na 0803-350-4206 maọbụ ịbịa n'ụlọ ọrụ anyị dị n'Ọnịcha na nọmba 5 Okono Street n'okirikiri DMGS Roundabout. Ya bụ inwe ike ịkpọ anyị na 0803-350-4206 maọbụ ịbịa n'ụlọ ọrụ anyị na nọmba 5 Okono Street n'okirikiri DMGS Roundabout Ọnịcha. Udala Radio emeela otu afọ n'ọnwa Maachị a, ọkpọkọpi n'ezie.
Emiro Global Natural Health Tech and Wealth brand is bringing to you an effective health product where health meets wealth and is very effective and value-laden. and it is called the Emerald Elixir. Addresses ulcer, addresses eye disorders, addresses cancer, addresses prostate problems, and addresses infertility. Boosts immunity, provides natural antibiotics, provides natural antioxidants, relieves allergies, increases libido, controls asthma, controls diabetes, relieves arthritis, improves digestion, balances blood pressure. The Emerald Global Concepts Limited, maker of the Emerald Elixir, is located at number 33 Iweka Road, Odabo, Onitsha, opposite Chiben Filling Station near Modebe Junction. And for inquiries, you can call their phone numbers. You can call the CEO Emerald on 080-6230-1834, 080-3326-1480, on 070-6820-3180. When sickness defies all medical treatment, take Emerald Elixir.
The board, management, and entire staff of Anambra State Housing Development Corporation, ASHDC, Oka, warmly congratulate His Excellency Professor Chukwuma Charles Soludo, CFR, Oluwatu, and his deputy, Dr. Onyekachukwu Ibezim, on their inauguration for a second tenure in office. This well-deserved mandate reflects the confidence of Anambra in your visionary leadership and commitment to the transformation of our state. As a key agency in housing and urban development, ASHDC proudly aligns with your vision of building a livable and prosperous homeland for all. We reaffirm our loyalty and dedication to supporting your administration's development agenda. We pray that God grants you wisdom, strength, and good health as you continue to lead Anambra State to greater heights. Congratulations once again, Your Excellency. Signed, Chike Anyono, Managing Director for Anambra State Housing Development Corporation, ASHDC, Oka.
Are you tired of living with pain, stress, or sleepless nights? It is time to experience true healing the natural way at Dr. Lilong Wellness Center. At Dr. Lilong Wellness Center, we combine traditional Chinese medicine (TCM), physiotherapy, and massage therapy to help your body heal, relax, and recover naturally. Whether it is stroke, arthritis, insomnia, prostatitis, or high cholesterol, our expert therapists are here to guide you towards a healthier, pain-free life. From full body massage to sub-health therapy, we bring balance and vitality back to your system because at Dr. Lilong Wellness Center, your wellness is our priority. Visit us today at number 18 Angel Toby Street, Toby's Bus Stop, opposite Church Gate Pharmacy, Maryland Estate, Oyolo 33, or call 0806 075 2900. 0806-075-2900. Get your health back to 100% by simply booking a reservation at Dr. Lilong Wellness Center 33, your home of total wellness and recovery.
Onitsha, are you ready? This Friday na full shutdown as Udala Lounge presents the Udala House Party
On lockdown.
live for M&C 16 Ridge Road, GRA, Onitsha. This Friday night, 20th of March 2026. Your favorite OAPs go there live. Famous, Edith Omar, Prestige, and others. And make you not forget live performances from Eastern Vibes, 1 Milli, Major Smooth, and Homie J. Plus DJ Tantawo, DJ Youngest, DJ Famous, and other top DJs go they turn up the place all night long. Make them know. Expect nothing but correct Eastern vibes, premium cruise, and mad energy. Time na 9 p.m. till Mama calls. And guess what? Entry na free. So call your guys, dress sharp, and pull up because this party go loud well. Udala House Party, powered by Udala Radio, 104.7 FM Onitsha, and M&C Lounge.
You're listening to Udala Radio, 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic. You're listening to the Polity. Get involved now.
Just to let you know, we're live on Facebook, Udala Radio 104.7 FM is our handle. We're streaming live as we speak. Drop your comment right under the post related to the show. We're progressing to take a look at other matters on our desk this morning. We understand that there are phases of petrol price hike, and this is mostly because presently crude is sold at $114 to a barrel at the international market. We also understand that there are certain gaps occasioned by Dangote being at the sole I call it at the center of everything about refining and distributing to retailers now in Nigeria. We understand that possibly shortages, that's what some fears are all around, centered around shortages, possibly scarcity, hoarding, and other man-made issues. But Tony, issues around this price hike dependent on crude price has left a lot of persons wondering if Nigeria as an oil-producing nation should remain vulnerable whenever we have global crude prices rising. Okay, this is mostly due to our refining limitations, and unfortunately we don't have an immediate solution to this. But I was just wondering if there is anything that we can do, especially where there are already supply gaps with Dangote. Of course, we understand why that is so. And Nigerians are still adjusting to subsidy. And now we have this hike. 1,250 for some persons yesterday, 1,300 for some persons yesterday. And crude was not even at $114 per barrel. So who knows? We see how Dangote has been persistently adjusting his prices whenever something happens. And so I'm curious to find out what the fate of the average Nigerian is going to be at the end of the day.
Well, the plight of an average Nigerian is something that is delicate, uncertainties everywhere, not knowing what will be the next, and at the same time issue of disappointments upon disappointments. We have proposed to the Nigerian government what they can basically do to see how to stem this tide. Is a tide. We talked about cost balancing the other day. I said what cost balancing could be from the XX6 we are making from this. We can put a fraction or extend some tax reliefs to Dangote so that he can bring the pump price down. It is not really subsidy, it's an intervention. Yes, waive some taxes on the part of Dangote. You are not bringing or giving him any additions. You are waiving certain loyalty payments so that he can bring down the pump price. And I said the effect is overwhelming. Most transporters have hiked their prices. Before now, for those who fare from Onitsha to Oka, depending on where you are taking off from, usually it was 8,000 naira. But as we speak now, it's sometimes 2,000, sometimes 1,500. And that tells you the price of transportation, and it has affected price of commodities in the market. That is inflation. Where money has lost its value again. Whatever you think money or amount you have, whatever you think 1,000 could have bought for you, that 1,000 cannot buy it now. That is real value loss on our currency. The whole thing is not really having pity on our currency. But just like I said, Nigerian government cannot sit idly and watch these things happen. Our economy being eroded. The toll on the economy is really cataclysmic. We know very well that the war, I know there is this way on when the war will stop, that by the time Iran is decimated, the whole thing will normalize. And from the look of things, yes, according to Pentagon reports, that Iran has no airspace as we speak now, that their airspace is completely and comprehensively annihilated. That's just for airspace. And if you also talk about their navy, that Iranian navy has been crippled. Iranian navy, according to reports from Pentagon, their navy crippled. They don't have airspace again. But the question is, when is the war ending? And if they resort to guerrilla form, it means that the war will be prolonged. You know what the guerrilla warfare? It has no termination date. It's a situation where the other side knows that the other party has more power and capability, they resort to hiding and fighting. When they resort to hiding and fighting, that is guerrilla warfare. But we are concerned about the threat of humors. It's basically why the whole thing is the way it is. That threat of humors controls the market price internationally. Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, they produce oil in large quantity and they sell to many parts of the world. They sell to Europe, they sell to North America, they sell to South America, they even sell to some of their brothers in Asia. They sell to China, they sell to Japan and all that. And the transportation route is usually that way. Most other countries that have big reserves, they don't sell. United States of America has more oil than Nigeria, but people don't even know that. But they don't sell. They buy raw crude. They have been maintaining their strategic reserves because they use it for so many things. One thing people don't even understand is that we are talking about crude. Crude has different advantages. There are so many products that will come out from a raw crude. Many don't even know that this plastic, anything plastic is from crude. Anything polythene is from crude. There are types of plates, so many things. So the what you get from crude is unquantifiable, unimaginable. There are so many allied products coming from crude as well. So that tells you the strategic importance of crude in our lives. But the point is, countries that are selling, the route to sell their products blocked by the war, the ones that have 80%, many of them largely they don't sell. Russia sells to the countries they call friends. They don't just sell to anybody. Russia has one of the highest in the world. You can measure Russia oil deposit with that of Venezuela, even Saudi Arabia. But they make strategic sales. Well, I can go on and tell you this, but the concern, the fear is what the impact is on us. I bought how many this morning? I bought 1,280 naira. Usually, that is additional 10,000 by the quantity I buy. So what it means that the war has consistently cost me additional 10,000 each time I buy petrol. It started sometime around February 28. I have been making addition of 10,000 to payment of the same value I usually get before.
Our minimum wage hasn't increased.
That's the irony of this.
Okay, Tony, what actually gave me so much concern is going through that very press briefing that was made by the House of Reps Committee on Petroleum Resources Downstream, which is headed by Ikengu Gochinyere of Imo State. So they went for oversight function and they were able to discover a whole lot of things. And he said that if nothing happens in the next 48 hours, that the country risks experiencing widespread fuel shortages and the issues with distribution. In that very case, we might see escalation in petrol prices. That tells you that it's becoming more precarious. Now look at what he said. He said that in the course of their oversight function, they were able to discover a whole lot of things going on in that very sector. Now they said that one, that government of Nigeria allocates 23 cargoes of crude oil to Dangote refinery. And that refinery, for it to function, it needs at least 15 cargoes to function optimally. But as it stands now, that refinery is only receiving 5 cargoes. So that tells you that there is a huge deficit somewhere. And in that very case, Dangote has to import from somewhere else to be able to close this very gap. So you can understand the challenge. Now, we already know that this very shortfall is already undermining refining capacity. And there is this very risk that it poses to petrol availability. Now, where I am so much concerned is this area, because he went on to talk about, apart from this challenge that Dangote is having, that government of Nigeria also brings in foreign intermediary. That in most cases, they don't even sell this crude direct to Dangote refinery. They sell to international intermediaries. Dangote now buys from them. I know what that means. If Nigerian government sells to international intermediaries at 10 naira, for instance, they have to add something to sell to Dangote. In that very case, it's going to impact on what becomes the price of petrol at the retail end of this whole thing. So at this point in time, I'm thinking about, can government of Nigeria just fold its hand and be watching? Because some time ago we talked about what we can do internally. We talked about if we can have a special arrangement that can help us to deal with this. But if government of Nigeria can deal with the challenge with crude supply to Dangote refinery, deal with the issues of different taxes, don't you think it's going to help us to even depend on Dangote and have petrol and be able to curtail the impact of this very crisis in Middle East? Take for instance, now if Dangote refinery begins to get all the crude it requires to function from Nigeria without importing from anywhere, there is a cost that ordinarily should have incurred that is going to cut off. In that very case, we'll be able to have this petrol at a reasonable price than compared to what is now going forward.
Well, let's talk about this practically. What is Nigeria's crude production capacity present is about 1.4 or 1.5 million barrel per day, which is most times often below OPEC quota. And Dangote refinery has 650,000 barrel
Capacity.
If you look at it, if Nigeria gives Dangote everything it needs, that 1.5 million, what is left? Minus 650,000 from 1.5 million. I'm just trying to find a balance. Because we have to really reason like business people right now. And remember that the country relies heavily on the sale of oil to function as a government. Nigerian government relies heavily on oil sales to function. If they have a production capacity of 1.5 million barrel per day and gives 650, that is what Dangote needs to that's the optimal, about 15 cargoes as you said. But what the Nigerian government does is they give Dangote about 5 cargoes from what we have. And if you look at it, if you measure the cargoes, you can also understand that they are leveraging on what they can sell internationally and the price adjustment, because these things are there.
Tony, if Nigerian government sells to Dangote, they sell to him at the international price of oil, but in naira equivalent.
Okay.
So that means if they still give him all he needs, Nigeria is not losing money. Rather, we might lose foreign exchange.
That is the point. That is where I'm coming now.
No, but somebody was even telling me that somebody was telling me somewhere that some of the payment Dangote makes to federal government for crude oil supply is made in dollars.
That was what the person said. But we would also wait for Dangote to also make his own belief. We are trying to reason very well here now. If we sell half of what we produce, or close to half of what we produce to you, where do we get the foreign exchange to meet our foreign exchange demands? And if you don't have that foreign exchange, the dollar naira exchange value will be so high. If Nigerian government satisfy the need of Dangote, so that Dangote will still sell closely at the same price or minus 50 naira or 100 naira for you, or possibly 200 naira for you. If Nigerian government supply Dangote's needs, what that implies is a dollar may be 2,500, because there will be scarcity of dollars, because Nigerian government is selling to Dangote in naira, so they are not making dollars from the south. But being that you are not making enough dollars to satisfy your internal demand, the price will go up. The common demand forces will tell you that once there is a scarcity of product, the price goes up. Once there is scarcity of dollar to meet most of the multinationals doing business in Nigeria, we pay them in naira, they'll go to CBN and get the dollar equivalent. Lufthansa airline, call them, many of the airlines. And there are so many multinationals in this country that the Nigerian government has mandated to trade in naira with the assurances that once you trade in naira, come and take the dollar equivalent, because naira is our currency. You cannot dollarize Nigeria. When they come for their money, you tell them you've not made enough sales in oil to repatriate them, and that means that they will have backlogs. By the time the backlogs will go up, they will start to increase the price. I understand this, because Ugo Chiene does not understand these principles. He doesn't. The problem is we are not making exports outside oil. Nigeria is not making it. Had it been that we have export in agriculture, in manufactured products,
solid minerals,
this wouldn't be a problem. Nigerian government must satisfy Dangote's quest. If they attempt it, the country will be on suicide mission. In fact, the 5 cargoes that are given to Dangote is even too much, because of the dollar expected of the other sales, because others they are selling to pay them in dollars, and you need the dollars to run the government. We must understand these principles. I'm not saying that the situation is good. I'm saying that there is need for more understanding. What do we need to do now? What we need to do now is to see what we can do to invest heavily in agriculture. We are going to make windfall from this oil. Nigeria is going to make about 30 trillion from this windfall.
Tony, because when we talk about the projections too, that we're going to make in excess, I understand that, but when you also consider the fact that if you look at the benchmark for 2026 budget, we have a benchmark of oil production by 1.8 million barrels per day, and now we're doing 1.3, 1.4.
That is another
of course, so there's a shortfall there.
There's definitely.
But we are concerned, Tony, is this. Look at, sometimes Dangote refinery goes to the international market to buy Nigerian crude oil sold to international body or international firm. It is a Nigerian crude oil. And when he's buying that crude oil from these very international intermediaries, it buys at an added cost. Bring into the country, pay additional cost, and what have you not. At the end of the day, the burden is going to be on Nigerians, who are the end users.
Apart from Nigerians, Dangote sell to many countries. Dangote sell refined crude to United States of America. Dangote sell refined crude to so many African countries. So these ones, he buys from intermediaries. The idea of buying from intermediaries, why Nigerian government is selling to these multinationals, because they are going to get dollars. That's the most important thing. You are getting dollar from the sales. So by the time Dangote buys this crude oil or shop for dollar, because he can get dollars at any exchange group, once he gets that and he gets this crude from these people, how much is Nigerian? According to figures, we are told that we are using about 40 million barrels per day. That's what we are told. But the other figures we had before was 65 million. There was a time we had about 57 million, but that was when there was issue of subsidy on the recovery. By the time Dangote started operating, we are told that the whole thing has come down to 50 million liters. And you can imagine, what is 50 million liters? We cannot in any way downplay the capacity of Dangote refinery. 650,000 barrels. Convert that to number of liters, you will see millions of liters is shipping around the world. Dangote is into business. He is crying that the Nigerian government is not giving it enough. This and that. If it gives you enough in naira, you will still use it to sell to other countries and collect dollars from them. Yes. What if we satisfy Dangote to his full demand? He will give you your own quota, the one you need, and sell to the other countries and collect dollars and put in Dangote's group account. And no dollar comes into government's account, or the dollar that will be coming to government's account will be shortened. We must understand this basis. We need to increase our exports. It is not only oil. Agriculture remains viable.
Absolutely.
Production, manufacturing remains viable. Fixed energy. I would wish that some of the Nigerian representatives will say, whatever windfall we are going to make from this crisis, can we use it to fix our energy problem? Can we use it to build more dams? Can we use it to build more thermal plants? Can we use it to do much in a way that Nigeria will have not less than 20,000 megawatts capacity in electricity? Can we say whatever money we are going to make, whether 30 trillion, because if you convert it to dollars, it should be around $57 billion. If you convert 30 trillion to dollars, it should be about $57 billion. Even if it is not up to, just as Franklin, reckoned, because of other shortfalls, but close to. Can we say, let's use this windfall? We saw the Gulf War in the early 90s. What did we use the windfall for? If I tell you the amount we made from the Gulf War in during the time Kuwait and US, what they were doing, we have made money from different windfall, from different wars. There was a one we made, we paid excess crude account. I don't know how they spent and liquidated and then render the money in that account to null. We've seen these things. Most times we have not taken advantage of these wars in most of these Gulf nations to advance our cause. We've not done it. The windfall, somebody will start shouting, let's share it. Can we say we can use the money excess? The windfall means excess money, unexpected money. It's unexpected. Look at our budget. A barrel, $64 or $65. That's what we benchmark in our budget. A barrel is selling at how much now? As last we checked, about $114. And it keeps maneuvering within that range. You are making money. 65 and 114. Check the difference. That's what you keep making. For every liter sold, for every barrel, not liter, for every barrel sold, that's what you make. And we projected it, if it continues this way with the production unchanged greatly, you're gonna make such amount of money. And we say, let's use that amount to invest in our electricity, to invest in agriculture. These are the two critical areas we must invest massively for us to start making exports in production, for us to start making exports in agriculture.
All right, Tony.
The government must think in that direction.
Government has to think in that direction. Quickly, let's address the issue of rising insecurity. We understand that a projection has identified a 46% increase in suggested worsening insecurity despite official claims of progress. Violence, we understand, is no longer confined to the north. It is spreading to the central and southern regions. And of course, insecurity, we know the kind of impacts it makes. Look at food insecurity. Agriculture is not really a viable system, a viable a sector of our economy, largely because of insecurity. And then we have the soaring in food prices, investor confidence being very much low. Also, we have civil society organizations criticizing the government's what they call it, docility now, indicating a lack of trust. The average Nigerian who can afford to fly would always tell you that the biggest reason they fly is because of insecurity.
Yeah.
Not because of distance, not because of bad roads, even insecurity. And so, Tony, quickly, let's address 46% spike, and we are in UK trying to sign agreements and how to improve all the sectors of the economy. What are you improving when your security is a mess? How would those investors even have the confidence to come here?
How many UK companies are in Nigeria? I don't want to go into that.
Big question.
I don't want to go into that because it's going to take my time. I'm concerned about what we need to do. We are not putting the right things first. We must first and foremost show concern to certain enablers. Look at insecurity. We know very well that for you to take insecurity head on, there are things we need to do. Most of the things we have proposed, they are largely undone. One that government is attempting to do is issue of state police and probably the community police by the time state police is mapped. But we've started saying this many years ago. Insecurity got to this gargantuan magnitude in 2009. That was since then, from 2009 to now. How many years are we talking about? What have we done? Close to 20 years. We've done nothing, practically nothing. Yesterday we were talking about the money we've spent in defense. Just like I said yesterday, we are going to look at the actual releases, 32 point something trillion. That's what we calculated from Vanguard report. But I said we will have to concentrate it on the released, made, not the budgeted. We talked about this. Have we made progress? The answer is no. For me, security is not about politics. If you do what we are supposed to do, security will be addressed. We've just said one. We must also look at developing rural areas. We must also look at our border security. We must also look at infiltrators. We must also invest in technology as a way to safeguard our people. People do go to moon. People do go to space. How many Nigerians have taken such adventures? We need to build. Look at what Turkey did. Mr. President came back from Turkey the other day, and we said, have we put the one thing Turkey has done into motion? I'm not saying into reality, because it gotta take time, but we must set it in motion first. We saw how Turkey, bordered by Syria, bordered by Afghanistan, bordered by Iraq, bordered by all these countries where you have violence, sectarian violence. Turkey is not impacted. Turkey is protected. And investors, they keep investing. Turkey has one of the most viable production capacity in many things. Many Nigerians go to Turkey. If you go to main market on Onitsha, they will tell you that this shirt I'm putting on is Turkish shirt. That's what they told me. I don't know. But the truth is, because the country is massively into production, making so much money, because they have security. We must build on those things. And I said the other time, they invested so much in technology. They have land sensors. They have, if you jump into Turkey territory, the sensor will alert the authorities that somebody has come into the territory. And where the person jumped into, the sensor will indicate everything. They have unmanned area craft. They have so many things. But if you bring this money here, corruption, the money will not be used for the purposes upon which it meant. We talked about the other time, remember Kiare, when he went to Germany and signed the Siemens agreement, and we thought that after that agreement we may smile or we say bye-bye to darkness as we usually have in this country. Look at me every night. I'll be in my home. If I don't on generator, I'll be sweating like Christmas goats every night. Look at the heat.
Tony, you're talking about the heat.
It's very,
do you know the amount of losses that Nigerians are suffering? Producers, families, the average Nigerian cannot cook food. We understand that if you cook and refrigerate, it is more economical. Yeah. The average Nigerian cannot do that at the moment, because if you cannot refrigerate, the weather is too hot, everything sours in a bit.
That's it.
And so households are running at a huge loss. Companies that deal on perishables, finish. Go to cold rooms, Tony. They are disposing cartons of frozen foods that went bad.
And that is economy drying up, because some of these things were bought with money. Whenever you have wastages drain
more people
economy.
Are entering poverty.
Wastages drain economy. And let me say this, many people don't even know our geographical location on Earth. We are very close. In fact, if you moved a bit from the equator, we are close to the equator, and that place, people that live in that area, there is direct sunlight, sun rays, ultraviolet rays on people that live around equatorial region. We call it equatorial regions. Nigeria is one of the countries, and we are there. And the truth remains, just like you said, those who are in that tropics region, microbes, that's what we call microbes, they are very active in tropical regions. And being active, that's why you have this souring of food, souring of that. Microbes are active in tropical regions, very active. We must do what we are supposed to do. The heat is too much.
Tony, what do you think is hindering this very government? Because from the report Chison reference, you see that global terrorism index, Nigeria is ranked 4th, with an increase of 44% in insecurity compared to 2024. Because this report looked at 2025, and the president came into power in 2023. In fact, before he came in, we saw the height of insecurity under the government of late Muhammad Buhari. Everybody was crying. Herdsmen issue, killings here and there, abduction, people were crying. And this government came in saying that it's going to fight insecurity. And we have even heard some of the aides of the government, going on different TV platforms, on television, on radio, even to newspapers, saying that the government has upped the ante when it comes to dealing with insecurity. Or, this time around, if you want to be particular, when it comes to dealing with terrorism. But if you do some comparative analysis, you will see that under the government that we have now, government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, it appears we have about 34% increase in insecurity compared to the last time Buhari was in power. Let's give you an instance. Under Buhari, between 2015 and 2023, we had an estimated number of persons, who were killed to be in the region of about 60,000 plus. Then between 2020 to 2023 alone, we had about 12,000 plus killed. And then at that point in time, Nigeria was also, Nigeria was a hotbed for terrorism and kidnapping. So it's a known fact. It now come to this very era of Tinubu, where we've talked about all the money we have pumped into security, all the procurement we have made, the hardware, what have you not. America is coming and what have you not. But we are seeing an increase in insecurity under the present government. Is it that this government does not have the capacity to deal with this insecurity, so that we get to know, or the government is doing the much it can because it is limited?
Well, I think I wouldn't say government has the capacity, but it has to show the capacity. I wouldn't say government has no capacity. The government has capacity to deal with the issue of insecurity, but it has to be demonstrated. Government needs to show that capacity. We are not fighting the war of, most times when I see Nigerian armed forces, one thing that comes to my mind, they're engaging in battle of bricks and mortar, AK-47, and what do you call it, multi-purpose machine gun, and what else again, and the grenades and all these improvised explosive devices. Of course, that is a cake in most of these kind of war. Preparing soldiers on how to handle AK-47 and all that is a cake. People have gone beyond that. In fact, if you look at the American-Iran war, have you seen anybody firing AK-47? It's not AK-47 war or improvised devices or what you have or multi-purpose machine. That's not a war. It's war of missiles, well configured, well targeted, well delivered. Right. It was once, I think, the Minister of Defense was telling us to fire one missile would cost about 100 million. That's what he told us. That it is expensive. The truth is, we are in this war already. Look at the kind of countries we are bordered.
Tony, let's take a break.
These countries, of course, we are not blessed with the kind of countries we are bordered with. These countries contribute, but what about Turkey? That are also bordered with the kind of countries we are bordered. What are they doing? What are we not doing? Government has capacity. I believe the government of President Bola Tinubu, there are things it needs to put on ground. Population is growing. You expect increase in some of these things, but it must turn the tide.
All right, let's take a break now. Attend to some commercials. The phone lines will be open in a bit. To stay.
Udala Radio, 104.7 FM.
Onitsha, are you ready? This Friday na full shutdown as Udala Lounge presents the Udala House Party
On lockdown.
live for MNC 16 Ridge Road, GRA Onitsha. This Friday night, 20th of March 2026. Your favorite OAPs go there live. Famous, Edith Omar, Prestige, and others. And make you no forget, live performances from Eastern Vibes, 1 Milli, Major Smooth, and Homie J. It's plus DJ Tantawo, DJ Youngest, DJ Dio, 104.7 FM Onitsha, and MNC Lounge. The Lounge.
Quality bread, Wendy's bread, for your family breakfast. Wendy's bread, I'll pack it and they do yellow. Wendy's bread, mama, papa, they like Wendy's bread, chicken and do. Wendy's bread, even children, they like Wendy's bread, Wendy's bread, I mean Wendy's bread, get it better, tasty, we go sweet your belly. Wendy's bread, Wendy's your body, Wendy's bread,
Wendy's bread, tasty bread. You can contact us on our official address, Second Business Park, Enugu Road, GRA, beside Misha, Anambra State. We also have another branch at St. Michael Plaza at Tandy Road. Also contact us on 070-1149-1571. Wendy's bread, your tasty bread.
Wendy's bread.
I want to hear no the latest where they happen. So better pour open, don't enter for town. You want to upgrade your car, it day in town. For motorway get accident, you go make and tantam. Our security stand first in everything we do.
and they deliver worldwide. This not the latest update when I get for you. If your motor spoil and you want to fix some more, if you want to repair some motor, often they run a more. If I'm a financial, go banaka, and you put your locals, they go power of Nanyoba. Maybe I don't move on again or the tam can kick off. You repent motor, motor will accident. You tell the local power of I know not a motor number or Babu officer local bus stop along Owerri Road. For more inquiry, why not 090 1100 2200. Angelo Tolo
Onitsha, una don ready for the biggest Easter shutdown. Golden Promise Entertainment presents Easter Golden Fiesta. One massive night of music, comedy, and correct vibes. It happens Sunday, April 12, 2026 from 5 p.m. till dawn for Onitsha Mall ShopRite. Host for the night, MC Bim and MC Feargod. Music policy by Emmy Black, Ivado, and Sparkle T. Laughter with comedians like Twin Parrots, Prince Neche, 5 Naira, Dibia Update, Holy Baba, and Sister Equitos. Plus live performances from Mweze and CJ Ozugo, and DJs who will keep the party hot all night. DJ Staffy, DJ Y Barrow, DJ Two Step, DJ Tony Banks, DJ Freezy, and DJ NK. Tickets they go fast. Regular 2,000 Naira, VIP 5,000 Naira, VVIP table for 5, 200,000 Naira. For sponsorship, bookings, and enquiries, call 0814-394-2802 or 0808-441-5156. Easter Golden Fiesta, the party we on nature will talk about. Supported by Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Onitsha ndị nwe ahịa, nke a bụ ụzọ anyị si asị unu daalụ maka ọmarịcha otu afọ nke nzikọrịta ozi. Udala Radio dị otu afọ n'ọnwa Maachị a. N'ọnwa Maachị a niile, Udala nwere onyinye pụrụ iche maka ịgba afọ ọhụrụ a. Ịzụta advert slot abụọ, inwe otu mgbakwunye onyinye n'efu. Ịnụrụ nke ọma, ohere nke mgbasa ozi ahịa, ozi ọbụla maọbụ nke program, ịkwụ ụgwọ, nweta ohere abụọ, anyị agbakwunyere gị otu. Nke a bụ ohere ị nwere ime ka ndị Onitsha n'obodo ndị ọzọ nụ ma mara maka ahịa gị. Gbata ọsọ ozugbo n'ihi ohere ọ pụrụ iche a malitere ugbu a ma bụrụ nke ga-abịa n'isi njedebe n'ụbọchị nke 31 n'ọnwa Maachị nke afọ a, n'ọnwa mgbakwunye afọ Udala. Maka ndebanya na ajụjụ, kpọọ anyị na 0803-350-4206 maọbụ ịbịa n'ụlọ ọrụ anyị dị n'Onitsha na nọmba 5 Okono Street n'okirikiri DMGS Roundabout. Ya bụ inwe ike ịkpọ anyị na 0803-350-4206 maọbụ ịbịa n'ụlọ ọrụ anyị na nọmba 5 Okono Street n'okirikiri DMGS Roundabout Onitsha. Udala Radio emeela otu afọ n'ọnwa Maachị a, ọkpọkọpi n'ezie.
You're listening to Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic. You're listening to The Polity. Get involved now.
It is your time to join the conversation now. Put a call across to 0803-221-697-30803-87-6694. Let's hear you. Hello, good morning. You have a minute. Yes, good morning. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
In the house. Yes, Chisom, I want to ask Mr. Speaker Tony Beck.
What is your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Monday Johnson.
Go ahead.
From Onitsha.
Go ahead, Monday.
My regard also to Franklin. Please, I want to ask Mr. Speaker Tony Beck a question on the findings of the committee led by Ukuchinyere and the alarm he raised about the looming economic crisis if nothing is done under 48 hours. The analysis Tony gave was more up on the rate of dollar. And he said that Ukuchinyere did not consider that when he was actually making his comments. Tony, I want to know, dollar and the price and pump price, can you please tell me the particular factor that regulates our inflation in Nigeria most? Because I know dollar has been fluctuating all this while, 1,004, 1,004, I mean 1,005 and others. But yet, when the pump price was around 500, 700, 800, cost of things was a bit low. But now that the pump price goes high, notwithstanding the fact that the rate of dollar is at between 1,415, there is a kind of increase in domestic things. Now, I want to know, please, because when you talk of dollar very high and raise your concern on that, forgetting the alarm this man raised on the pump price that may go high if nothing is done, which of these should be the major concern of the government? The betterment of Nigerians if the pump price is reduced, or the cost of dollar and the cost of importation if the dollar goes high and becomes scarce? Make us understand actually where we should make strong emphasis and answer our concern most as Nigeria. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Are you there? Hello? Hello? Yes, good morning. Hello? Hello?
Good morning. Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, my sister. Good morning, my speaker, Tony Becker.
You're welcome.
I'm Platinum. This is the voice of Honorable Sokoye from our Ancient Kingdom.
Go ahead.
But I'm calling for Navy now. You see, let me ask a question. The way this government is fighting the war, whether it's getting worse. Yes, the war is getting worse. The way they're fighting is not the right way to fight. The way there is the right statement that we are still using the cake way of fighting the war. This kind of war, carry AK-47, enter the bush, fighting for the enemy, is agitating. And remember, we are not fighting a conventional war, we are fighting a guerrilla war. Those who are fighting you, they treat it like a casual, like a civilian. This is what this kind of war before. We know how they deal with the enemy. And that is tough. Even come Sudan here, they are at war. You see that they are using drones in fighting war. This is a war of technology and intelligence. And that's why our soldiers are being killed every time. When they are somewhere, when the enemy is attacking somewhere, we send soldiers on their foot. And they will lay ambush and kill some of them. This time, this gone out, Nigeria don't know what they are doing. They don't have anything in their brain even to fight this war. Not these drones that come out Sudan here are using. We have the one to buy all this and make all this in here. So that they use drones to fight this enemy. You want to see that this enemy this side, he said drones. With someone and the other
I'm sorry, your time is up. Please try to stay within a minute.
All right.
Please, put your thoughts together. Everything you want to say it in a minute. Good morning.
Good morning.
Your name is?
Dr. Gunul Sambiki and the phone call.
You're welcome.
Very good morning to you all. Yes, talking of the insecurity in Nigeria, I don't know what is going on, whether we are actually taking the bull on their own. Because there is no improvement at all. Franklin had given us a figure, the increase in insecurity. Despite the huge amount of money being invested, every year, we keep on putting a whole lot of money into our security. And we are not seeing a desired result. I don't know what is going on, whether actually we are facing that war the way we're supposed to face it. Because for me, defensive mechanism can never give you victory. If you want to win the war, you have to face it. And you have to be proactive, facing it in the way it is. But we can see that it is just a defensive mechanism and it's not yielding us any dividend. Why I'm saying that is most of the time we hear the story of those criminals invading even military base, killing soldiers and cutting away with the amount of military equipment. That means that we are not doing what we're supposed to do. And we have to change our tactics if we want to get this thing done. And you see that a whole lot of people, was this yesterday, was somebody lost 4 of the children. The children that went to the market to buy eyeglass for today's celebration. 4 of them was killed. What am I going for the families? Losing 4 children, male children. 4 of them died in that explosion in Borno State. It is very, very pathetic. And we now, Britain, the visit for me is just a jamboree, because instead of talking about this security issue, we don't need to talk on this. We are expecting them to come up like America to do something at all. But that is just like trying to reclaim what they are losing, because already Britain are losing their grip on Nigeria, and they just want to show us that are still interested, that we remain their old children, and that is what they are doing.
Okay.
Their interest in Nigeria is only all about their interest, but the interest of this country.
Thank you. Please.
Can you hear me?
Why they are not doing anything about the insecurity that is going on. Question our president can never give us that victory.
All right, Chidishukuma, that will be all. Thank you.
Hello, Chibode.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Tommy, Becky, and Frank.
Mario,
my name is Mario Gejuka, calling from Onitsha.
Okay, Mario, before you go on, there's something we want to find out from you.
Okay.
So, if you won't mind, can you send us a message to a phone number I'm going to call out now?
Okay.
You are Onitsha. Where are you situated now?
I'm from Onitsha.
Okay. So I want to call out the phone number, and I want you to send an SMS to it. Just indicate that you are Mario K.
Okay.
Okay. So should I call the number?
Maybe if I drop the call, you call the number.
You say again?
Maybe if I drop the call, you call the number.
Okay. Okay. All right. Go on with your contribution.
Thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, you said that Iran has been created. They have been destroyed. You understand the way you say it? Their military power has been reduced. Well, and I want to ask, all those missiles that are still moving from Iran, where are they coming from? Or maybe they are hiding it in their kitchens and in their bathrooms. See, let us now tell the truth. There is no need of, for me, I am affected so heavily because of this war. Yes, because I know that I'm being disturbed by diesel and petrol. You understand? In as much as, even if you want to trek with your legs, my brother, it's not easy. So now, some people are still clapping for America. The other time, Trump promised the world that the war is going to come to the end soon. When? And I thought, do you think that Iran will allow you to go? When you have destroyed everything that they have been living with? It will not stop. They will keep fighting. That is my problem. You understand? Now, yesterday, I think the day before yesterday, there was a news that the British, I think, cooking gas go higher because of the destruction of one thing in the Kuwait by Iran military. That is what we will be saying, because they will not allow you to be happy when you have destroyed them. It honestly, why do Trump start this war in the first place? Now the world are suffering, and we don't know where we are coming from it. Honestly, to me, anybody who is supporting this war, I don't want to hear you cry that you have been affected on any way. That is my own submission. Thank you very much.
Let's head over to Facebook and see what we've got there.
Okay, so on Facebook we have a couple of reactions there, and we are going to get on them now. Okay, just try to see. It seems like the network isn't that fast to load these very comments. So let's see what we have now. Okay, so we'll look at the first post here coming from the Zen. No, this one's quite different. That one's quite different.
Okay, well, one more call while you fix that. Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Members of the state. I really appreciate your maturity in analysis. I am just very, very flabbergasted that you are just celebrating 1 year. You have been mature as if you are up to some few years, just of years ago. I just commented on that. In the case of Nigeria, the president traveling to him, he went to Turkey. When he came back from, what has he implemented on the journey to Turkey? And the amount he has paid to go to Turkey with all the persons that accompany him. What have he achieved? Now he has gone to England. As he's coming back, what would he achieve? In terms of these things we have been talking about, it is because we saw our excess. They are still collecting taxes inside the country as well. And there are still other investments other than oil. But what is eating to the fabric of Nigeria is corruption. When one corruption is supplied, everything will be put in place. Everything will be put in place. It's about corruption. Now, I am a mariner and I am in methodology. So in terms of decentralizing the port, that is one of the Calabar has a big people as from government, but based in Asaba, John in my name, based in Asaba. We have a big people there that they don't need any breaking, but everything is illegal. All things are just corruption, tribalism, sectionalism. Until we begin to work on all those things, things will not work normal. It's not about having so many airports in one state. Like Lagos now has just one airport. I have worked in their airport. There's sometimes you have 300 planes landing. In the airport is one time, we don't need to do so many airports in one place. Just have one airport. So centralize the principle of comparative advantage to begin to work. We don't utilize the principle of comparative advantage by reachable principle of comparative advantage. That is what we just
Thank you. Thank you. All right, then let's quickly take that and round off.
We have a whole lot, but let's see. Many of them we are going to accommodate. Dandola says he's posting from Awado Bosiki. His real name is Daniel Wuna. Today I don't have the chance to speak about anything Nigeria. Nigeria can sort herself out for now. I'm here to say very happy and big 1 year anniversary to Udala FM. This is the only educative and impactful radio station in the whole of Africa and beyond. I want to thank the management of Udala FM for their coordinations. I want to say a very big thank you to Chip Tony, Mr. Franklin Bukachi, Son Chinedu, Odipo Debe, Edith Oma, DJ Famous, Aligo Prestige Oma here, and every one of you that are there to educate us in one way or the other. Most especially the MD of Udala FM. May God continue to bless you all, and once again, happy 1 year anniversary to Udala FM. Thank you very much for the wish. Also, Francis Namani from Amagun in Enugu State. Okay, thank you for keeping up with us. Tete Patrick says, just don't worry, at the end you will hear where the money entered with our political leaders. Nothing will come out. They will never do anything that will benefit the poor masses. Anoms Amy says, congratulations to Udala Radio on turning 1 year, a radio with exceptional excellence. Other oil-producing countries will make gains in the ongoing war involving U.S., Israel, and Iran, but Nigeria cannot make any gains due to lack of planning and visionary leadership that has futuristic insights. Rather, her citizens will be the ones to bear the cost. Zakwa Celestine says, Okay, insecurity. He says, I'm come to think of it. Imagine Mr. President saying before the whole world that he finds safety in the UK. Is this not an indictment to his failed government? Honestly, it's quite unfortunate that this cannot be said about Nigeria, considering the random killings in Nigeria. I think it will be better for President to consider what he says in the public. I think he said he found. That was during the military era, not now. So,
okay.
Gregory Tadeusz, Francis Otu, Udechukwu became, and others. Please, we thank you for your inputs.
All right, then, Dr. Tony Olisenbeki, in a second, please round.
I think I want to react to Monday Johnson's statement. My brother, exchange rate is what determines the price of any commodity. If price of dollar goes down now, pump price will go down. Even the pump price. The exchange rate is what measures the value of what you have as a country. But most times these things are not the way they should be. They are man-made. They are artificially manipulated. But exchange rate is the cocoa. Once you have more dollars, more exchanges, definitely the price of dollar will go down. And if the price of dollar goes down, price of pump price in your home country will also go down. First and foremost, exchange rate followed by issue of transportation cost. But what controls the transportation cost? Exchange rate. If it comes down now, why it is so? Because we don't have our domestic refineries. If we have our domestic refineries where we refine this crude ourselves, we don't mind exchange rates. But being that we don't have these domestic refineries, Dangote sell at whatever price he buys from international markets. Exchange rate, if the price of dollar goes down, he will be forced to go down here, selling the price, the price he sells here. It controls a lot of things. Akara woman, market man, and the price of dollar. If it goes up now, go to main market, anything you price there, they will tell you the price has gone up because the price of dollar has also gone up.
It's 11 o'clock, Tony. Thank you for your contribution today. Thank you for everything you've been doing on the Polity for the past 1 year.
Thank you so much. It has not been easy, and thank you, everyone.
Right, so the phone number for Mario, the phone number is 0803 812 7611.
Say that again, please.
0803 812 7611. The last one, 0803 812 7611.
All right, then. Thank you, Franklin. Your last words?
Well, I just saw a post made by UK Prime Minister, and he said, last year we took decisive action to save British Steel from closure. We secured its future and protected thousands of British jobs. Today, we have signed a historic deal between the UK and Nigeria, providing steel for the construction of ports in Lagos. This will support thousands of skilled British jobs with hundreds of millions invested in British economy. You know what that means?
You tell me.
Okay. They use Nigeria to provide, fund to the steel industry in UK.
Oh well, it is what it is. Unfortunately, unfortunately, this is the life that Nigeria has been living, the place it has kept itself in the international circle. But the Polity is going to make a return on Monday, and by then would be 1 year and 2 days old. I see you then. I am Chisom Chinedu. Good morning to you, and thank you immensely for having been a part of the Polity for the past 1 year. Good morning, stick around. Up next would be a 1 hour music break, and I promise you it's a Friday. We're not doing it any lesser. It is hot jams only. And right after that, we are going to be having the Cherry Box at 12:25, and don't forget, tonight we party at M&C Lounge.
You're listening to Udala Radio.